made a determination of where I wanted it, and I'm going to put it up above this cut-in box for the electrical, and I'm going to put it right up there. Is there a right or wrong place to put telephone jacks? Not really. You don't have to have it exactly in line with the telephone jack from left to right or anything like that. And I don't know if you saw how I located a stud from before, but let's say if you don't have a cut-in box, you don't know where a stud is, and if you don't have a stud finder, you could poke with your hand, and when it's hollow, you know it's a bay between 2x4s. Hear how low that is? Now listen. That's right where a stud is in the wall. Then I know this is blank here, and the bay goes straight up, and it's right in line with the telephone jack up above. So you've got to make it in line with the telephone jack anyways, within that bay. So if you've got from left to right, if you got 8 or 9 inches to the right of that before a stud, then from that stud over to the left you got 16 inches. So it doesn't have to be minute in the exact same spot, as long as you're within that stud bay to make it easy. So if there was something in your way, you could slide it over so that you're in that same stud bay, because I know that wire goes straight down, and it's right down in there, because when I installed that cut-in box, I saw it and I felt it, and I know it's coming straight down, and I saw that the wires were facing down. I kind of pulled on them too and all that. So I've already done all my little inspections, so I know that once I cut this hole, once I cut that hole up there, there'll be the wire right there, and I'll be able to drop this straight down. I can drop that straight down. You know, this whole box, this whole little end, I can slip it in there and shove it down. Now this is an exterior wall. If you saw that, you thought, hey Joe, you're on an exterior wall. What's the deal? Isn't there insulation in that wall? Well, this house was built 50 years ago, and guess what? There's no insulation in these exterior walls. Now if there was, I could fish a wire up there and then attach it to that and tape it on there and kind of pull it on the face of the insulation up against the sheetrock and still slip it down there. So there's ways to still get it down, because I'm only dropping it down a couple feet. Okay, so now I just have to cut that hole out. And what are you going to use when you do that? You're going to use your trusty sheetrock saw. And I've had this one, actually my pops has had this one for years, and it doesn't matter if it's perfectly sharp. In fact, you don't want it 100% super sharp at all. You don't have to ever worry about that. If you get a brand new one, fine, but if you've got one that's 10 years old, that'll work too. Just be careful as you're cutting that in, and it doesn't have to be perfect on the first go, because I had to measure that with my tape measure and stuff. With the cut-in box, I could flip it upside down and put it there and mark around, but with this you can't, because the edge is not big enough. So I had to measure that and cut it out and trim it off, you know, a little bit. And then before you get ready, just make sure it fits. Okay, I got it fitting there now, and it took me a little bit of time just to kind of trim off the edges a little bit. And I don't like to make it overly big, because on the edges there's only so much at the top that cover, the top and bottom, that this cover is going to go over the sheetrock. So if you're not watching it and you're not careful, you might make the hole way too big, and then maybe your cut-in barely catches the sheetrock at all, and you have to raise it up and split the difference and hold your mouth just right as you're tightening everything up. Okay, now I can reach in there and see. Right now you don't see anything, but let's see here. Here's the telephone wire right here. But as I'm reaching back in there, I'm not feeling the other wire, because up here there was 2 wires, like they spliced on. See, the one I'm feeling is this one here. I'm not feeling this one, but that's going down too, and it feels like there's plenty of room. So when I shove this down the wall, I'm hoping that white wire is not going across the stud bay this way or this way, and hopefully it's not short, because if it's not short, it's not going to fit in my box, is it? There wasn't really any way I could really figure that out beforehand. So another reason why I guess it was good I got that box up high, and plus it's gonna be hidden underneath the desk. When you're walking around in the kitchen, you don't have to look under there and see the telephone wire hanging out or whatever, you know. Okay, so am I gonna put this cut in right now? No. My next step, I've got to shimmy that down the wall.